Hello, friends, and welcome back to Stories About Entitled People. Sometimes selling a car can turn into a whole story. Our OP will tell you more. But before we begin, don't forget to subscribe to our channel if you're new here and turn on notifications so you don't miss a new video every single day. Here we go. Guy I sold a car to wants his money back a month later. Some background. My dad and I sometimes flip cars on the side to make a few extra bucks, and I try to be as upfront and honest about most cars we buy. One day we ended up buying a Chrysler 300C with 45,000 miles on it. The car was very clean, leather interior, moonroof, and black, but had a few dents on the outside of the car and needed a new battery, so we changed the battery and me and my dad paid to have every dent on the entire car removed, which cost over roughly $1,500, since it had several small door dents and one large dent on its rear fender. This car would not sell at all, so I put it up for sale exactly how much we paid for it, including the work put into it, making absolutely no profit. I had a guy message me asking to see the car. I set aside a day and I showed him the car. He said he liked it but wanted his mechanic to check it out. Me, wanting to make him feel comfortable, said, "Sure, come back with your mechanic and check the car out." He came back a week later with his mechanic, and they looked over the car for about an hour, and the mechanic said everything was good on the car, so the guy said he wanted to buy it. He came back later that week with his dad and his girlfriend. They test drove it one last time, paid for the car, and took it home. That'd be the end of it, right? Yeah, no. About a month later, I get a long message from him saying how the car's a piece of crap and hasn't run right since he drove it home. The check engine light came on, the alternator went bad, he needed to get more than one set of keys made, and some other things were wrong with the car. So he starts saying how he wants his money back and that I shouldn't have sold him a car with so many problems, and how I should pay him for taking the piece of crap car off my hands. I replied with, "You came to my house 3 times, test drove the car 3 times, brought a mechanic to my house to check the car out. No, I'm not giving you your money back." To which he proceeded to say, "You effing scammed me. I'm coming to your house. I'm calling my lawyer. I'm going to have you arrested." Some say he's still waiting for his money, he is. And our next story. That's how it is in my job, so that must be how it works here. For context, I need to give a description of how the credit card machines in my job work. This is important to the story. This might be a little confusing, but I'll do my best to explain. The credit card machines in my workplace turn on the contactless feature automatically when the sale begins. Once the subtotal of the sale goes over €30, the machine automatically turns the contactless feature off, and there's no way to manually turn it back on again. The machine does this because in my country you're only allowed to pay contactless using your credit card for payments up to €30, and more than that is illegal because there's a risk of credit card fraud. However, you are allowed to pay with contactless using your phone, and there's no limit. But the credit card machines in my workplace haven't been updated to accommodate this. Once the limit goes over €30, you can't pay using contactless, regardless of whether you're using a phone or a credit card. This has been causing problems for a while because customers come in and try to pay for shopping over €30 using their phone, and then I have to explain why it won't work. Most customers just say, "Oh, okay," and pay using an alternative method of payment. A couple customers get annoyed, but only one customer has ever caused a big fuss about it. And this customer is the star of this story. I was serving customers on the till when the customer approached with her shopping. We were making small talk as I was scanning and bagging everything, and she seemed really nice at first. The problem arose when she wanted to pay with her phone, but the total was over €30. I explained to her why she can't pay with her phone, but she doesn't believe me. Customer: "No, you're wrong." Me: Excuse me? You're wrong. You just need to press the contactless button." "Ma'am, we don't have a contactless button here. The machine turns contactless on and off automatically." "No, it doesn't. You just haven't pressed the contactless button yet. That's why it's not working." "I can't. We don't have a contactless button here. I have no manual control over the contactless function on the credit card machine. It's automatic." "You do have control over it. You're just not listening to me. I'm trying to show you how to do your job, but you just don't want to listen." "I am listening to you, but what you're asking me to do is impossible because we don't have a contactless button." She starts to shout, attracting the attention of other people in the store. "Yes, you do. That's how the credit card machines work in my job, so that must be how it is here." Your workplace must use a different credit card system than ours. No, it doesn't. All credit card machines are the same. She then tells me to call a supervisor so that she can have someone who actually knows what they're doing to finish the sale. The supervisor arrives, and I try explaining the issue, but the customer cuts me off. Customer: no, that's not the problem. The problem is that he won't press the contactless button. The supervisor looks confused. Ma'am, we don't have a contactless button on our tills. The customer starts screaming again. Yes, you do! Then the customer and the supervisor get into a long argument about which one of them were right. The argument goes on for about 5 to 10 minutes and comes to an end when the supervisor tells her to see for herself. Fine, if you don't believe me, how about you come back here and show me where the contactless button is? The customer looks unsure. Oh, no, that's okay. But my supervisor insists. Well, if you're certain that you're right, you should have no problem coming back here and proving us wrong then, will you? The customer comes back uncertainly and looks at our till. Well, please show me where the contactless button is. I don't see it. My supervisor tries unsuccessfully to hide his big smug grin. Do you believe me now? The customer gives him a dirty look but doesn't say anything. She just walks back to the other side of the counter and takes out her purse. I guess I'll pay by card then. I finish the sale and the customer says thank you and leaves without looking me or my supervisor in the eye. My supervisor looks victorious. He says, don't worry about her. She was just looking for an argument. He then walks off. He was definitely my favorite supervisor. And our last story. Police officer attempted to intimidate my patient, loses fight to physics. I'm a paramedic. A few months ago, we're coming back from a routine patient transfer when at an intersection about 4 blocks from the base, I notice a woman sitting on the side of the road with her arms wrapped around herself and her head down. I nudge my partner who's driving, and we flip on the lights, and I see her head come up real fast, and she looks terrified. I get out, and she relaxes when she sees the ambulance. After I approach, I notice bruising on her wrists and other similar signs of domestic abuse. She seems hesitant to get up off the curb and into the ambulance, so I decide that I would at least pull the cot out of the back to give her something a little more comfortable than concrete to sit on. Now, a few important details. All the cots in my service are Stryker-powered cots. You almost certainly have seen these before. They're bright yellow with black handles and side panels. These cots have a motor and battery built in to allow us to raise and lower the cot at the touch of a button instead of throwing out our backs having to physically lift the cot up after loading someone. They're usually paired with an automatic loading system built into the ambulance that lifts the cot up to the right height to be pushed inside and also secures the cot when loaded. There's a little red tab at the end of the track just inside the doors that you press down to free the cot and allow it to slide out. When you press this tab, it simply releases the cot and the loading carriage it's connected to, and it's up to you to keep it under control until it reaches the unload position and locks into place. This can be problematic because these cots weigh about 125 pounds, about 55 kilograms. As soon as I hit the release tab for the cot, I hear lights and sirens behind me. It's a city police car, which is weird because we'd not yet requested police and we were outside the city in the sheriff's department jurisdiction. We merely informed dispatch that we were stopping to check on a woman at such and such intersection. The woman says something along the lines of, "Oh God, he's here," and moves faster than me, seeing free food being distributed at base. She dashes past me, pretty much hurls herself into the ambulance, sitting on the bench seat. The cop is approaching, and he's pissed. I put 2 and 2 together and slammed the ambulance door shut. Let's call this officer Police Officer Steve, or POS for short. POS. Is that Bai? Is she in there? Me. Who? You know damn well who I'm talking about. You mean my patient? I'm afraid I haven't gotten a name yet. Open those doors. I need to talk to her. You're not using my rig as an interview room. You can talk to her at the hospital. We go back and forth like this for a few minutes. My partner at some point came back to see what the holdup was, but overheard my stonewalling and went back to the cab to call our chief. I continue my routine of deny and delay until a pair of deputies, likely specifically requested for by this chief, arrive. Oh good, now I have witnesses. See, we'd stopped on an upwards incline. I'd hit the release tab on the cot and wanted it to slide back. I had to close the doors so swiftly I didn't bother pushing the cot back against the stops and locking it in place. Emboldened by the presence of two deputies, he gets in my face. "Get out of my way, or I'm going to have to charge you with obstruction." Okay, I step out of his way. He opens the double doors. Between the cot, the monitor, and the jump bag, I'd say there was probably close to 160 pounds contained by those doors, all of which comes barreling out and hits POS square in the chest. He goes backward and falls on his butt. One of the deputies laughs out loud. The other walks up and kneels down beside the guy. He says, "Your shift captain's going to be here in 5. I wouldn't be here if I were you." POS gathers himself up and scowls at me, then stomps off. There's a limited amount that I can say about the aftermath as the trial's not settled yet, but we all know how well charges stick to cops. The woman's now living elsewhere, the cop's still a cop, and I've been getting pulled over at least twice a week ever since then, but the video footage of him getting body checked by that cot remains one of the best things I've seen. Edit, for clarification, yes, the woman was/is married to POS, and yes, he is allegedly responsible for the abuse. Thank you for keeping her safe that day. OP's a hero. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.